So wanted to do a follow-up to my Dropout Nation video. I don't want to seem as if I'm against high school teachers. I know that they're in a tough position and that they have a difficult job, although I did think that they come off as rather condescending to these students, even in their attempts to help, and there's a lot of talking down. And what that bothered me, and it also bothered me that underscoring a lot of this condescension was this constant narrative of taking personal responsibility for their own future when these students' circumstances were much more complicated. And you get glimmers that they sort of understand that. One of the teachers essentially allowed one of the students who was having troubles at home, I don't remember exactly what his home situation was, to stay with her for a while towards the end of the semester to give him some sort of structure, made sure he went to school, stay on track, and all that sort of stuff. And she says that she realizes that she can't really do this for all the students, so how do you pick and choose and who's deserving and that sort of stuff. But that, in essence, I think is the crux of the matter, that a lot of these they're not bad kids, they're not stupid kids, they are just put in a disadvantage by their situation and the expectations of school, and yet the condescending message always thrown in their face is that it's up to them, they have to do well, personal responsibility, everything's on them, when they're facing struggles that go way beyond what the average high school student does, that gets to go home to a more or less stable home and do their homework and not have to worry about the sorts of problems that these students were facing. And it's like we're trying to attack the symptoms of a problem without actually getting at the social causes of the problem, and so the whole thing just seems like a farce. And I made the analogy to The Wire, but I read an interview of Grant Morrison recently, the comic book writer. It was in Playboy magazine, talking about his takes on different comic book characters, and he described Batman as a rich guy who goes around beating up poor people and then goes home to his mansion. And I thought that was well put and somewhat relevant to this situation, because while it's great to go out there and beat up the drug dealers, I mean, who are these people? Why are they dealing drugs? Why are they enforcers for the mafia? What circumstances put them in that situation? And it was actually Grant Morrison in one of his issues of The Invisibles who shows the backstory of one of these goons that King Mob just randomly murders, and shows what circumstances led him into that position. And the typical way that these sorts of things are presented is in things like Batman, is these are just faceless goons, and there's nothing morally questionable about beating the shit out of them. It's just they're the bad guys. And I think we as a society have this kind of attitude towards a lot of these students who don't do well in school, and the idea of success in school becomes part of the entire narrative of creating yourself and self-determination in America. And we want to ignore the actual circumstances that give rise to these sort of social problems, so that we can blame the individual rather than blame the system. And there's something very right-wing about that. I think there's some rather unsettling elements to Batman that often go overlooked in the way that these things are presented, and there's some rather unsettling and really off the mark ways about the way we even approach subjects like failing schools, student dropouts, and all of these things. And I don't think that we are by any stretch of the imagination actually willing or able to confront the problem, because I don't even think we're viewing it through the right lens. It presents a sort of distorted morality in which these are these high school dropouts, they're just troublemakers and all that sort of thing. This is a bad way to frame the problem, and I don't think we're ever going to come anywhere near a solution. But on the other hand, it's questionable whether certain people even want a real solution, because an underclass of society serves certain people's interests, and they get to have these sanctimonious crusades. Batman gets to have some people to beat the shit out of, and then go home to his mansion and run Wayne Enterprises, who, is a giant corporation that does who knows what. And the corporations are probably a bigger villain in the modern world than are the criminals Batman's opposed to, but we still get this narrative of, justice and crime fighting and all this other sorts of thing. And so if we want to address these problems, and we should probably attempt to actually get more at the circumstances that bring them about, rather than this really individualistic look at these kids. And I guess that is probably what bothered me about this documentary, is that it continued like the individualistic focus of a lot of this, and there was no analysis of why, the underpinnings, the social underpinnings. And yeah, another ranty video, but have a nice day. Comments appreciated, video responses, all that.